when you talk about the injuries, like trying to keep up with Ryan and Cade, and over these last few years has really shown me, you're not young anymore, Adam. Welcome back to the Level Up Life, Muscle and Mindset Mastery. I'm your host, Adam. Got a special guest and a special episode today for you. Welcome, Megan Welke.
Thank you, Adam.
So the special episode is actually talking about something that's we all go through, aging, and something none of us will avoid, which is death and dying. So Megan, I want you to introduce yourself, tell our audience your background, and then fire away.
Okay. So like Adam said, my name's Megan Welke. I'm a therapist here in Midland. I own a practice with my partner, Andy Sovis, Forward Therapy and Consulting, where we provide mental health therapy to people across the lifespan in our community. But my background is social work. I've worked in the Midland community for quite a few years. In the nonprofit sector for community mental health, a local family practice. So you've probably seen my face around.
All right. Yeah. Thank you for your service to the community too. So kind of starting out, I want to ask the audience, have you ever got a pain? Maybe a stomach pain, maybe an ache in your chest, a headache that won't go away, and you just jump to the worst possible cause. Like, my stomach hurts, I have cancer. Or my chest hurts, am I having a heart attack? I've polled some people recently, and I think it happens far more frequently than these thoughts happen far more frequently than what we discuss in public. So Megan will be interviewing me today talking about these things.
Mm-hmm. Well, so let's give the audience a little bit of context here, Adam. It's my understanding that you recently turned 40.
Yes, 40. 40, yeah.
It's a big milestone.
It is.
Right? Or we're led to believe it's a big milestone in our lives. So what ideas did you have around turning 40?
Well, so it kind of started last year, noticing a little bit decline in my athletic performance and just my ability to bounce back from physical activity. And then, I have this kind of bug in the back of my mind because I lost my dad at a really young age. And partially too because I haven't really treated my body for a good majority of my life very well. So I have this deep-rooted, concern because now I have something to live for, and it's scary because I don't want to lose it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, which exposes a bit of vulnerability.
Yeah.
Having something to lose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Like before, when I was using, it was nothing. Like I had family, and I didn't think about them as much in terms of how would my mom feel if I was gone? Like if she had to bury me, how would my mom feel? I didn't think about that stuff. I thought about what is my next high, and it sounds very selfish, and it was, but it's also more complicated than that when you're talking substance abuse. So I am scared to die. I have more work to do.
Are you scared to age?
A little bit. I mean, this last year, like I said, it's been kind of, I don't know how you'd word it, a lot of acceptance. I can't keep up with the youngsters anymore, even though I can, there's a cost. If I do, I get injured. So my body just isn't as resilient as it used to be. So, I guess a lot of acceptance, knowing now like my ability to play fast pitch softball at the level I'm used to is not, I'm still in a little bit of denial, but it's not what it used to be. I'm not as fast on my feet.
Mm-hmm.
I can't throw the ball as hard. I could still hit the ball really hard, but just,
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting close to senior league levels, so.
Right. Well, so tied in with acceptance, having known you for a few years now, I know that you lead a life of gratitude. And so as you've moved through this past year and noticing changes in your body, I'm curious, have you implemented a new practice of gratitude at all? Or have you reflected on that as you move through this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm grateful that I'm still here because I overdosed, was not breathing for a period. So the fact that I'm still here like 10 years later is a blessing. Not everyone gets that chance. So as of lately, and it's kind of like a process, right? I'm getting more to, I guess, thinking more of aging as something to be grateful for. It's a blessing because not everyone gets it. And then I see people, I'm going to shout out Rich and Wendy because they're in their 70s and they move, there's other people, guy I know, Terry, there's all these people in their 70s that move great.
Mm-hmm.
So why can't I be that?
Right. You have some great examples of that, of thriving as you age.
Yeah. And the bottom line is I'm not 20. I'm never going to be 20 again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where that acceptance comes in. I am aging. I'm not going to be 40 again on this day.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually I'll be 50, I hope, and then 60. And then, as far as the physical side of it, my training has had to shift a little bit. Yeah.
Having lost your dad fairly young, did that impact your ability to set goals for 50, 60, 70?
Yes. So my dad had a substance abuse issue. He was 47 when he passed away. Atherosclerosis, which is calcium in the arteries. So knowing I have that type of background, medical history in my family, I'm like, I have to work out. I have to do cardio. I have to do this. I want to outlive him. And being proactive with my goals for my health should, in theory, allow me to live longer. Being proactive with my eating, getting my blood work done regularly, and kind of monitoring like, what's my blood pressure? What's my cholesterol? What's this? But that doesn't stop like the thought creeping in, like my dad died young. Kind of had the same lifestyle in the beginning that he had. So what's to say I'm not going to die young?
What do you do when those kinds of thoughts creep in, those thinking errors, if you will, or fortune telling of sorts?
I kind of freak out in my mind for a little bit.
Okay.
And then process it. And I'm like, to give you an idea what that internal dialogue sounds like, it's like, Adam, you're going to die. You're going to die young. Your dad didn't make it. Your dad's mom didn't make it very long. And then it kind of progresses into, well, so no, that's not correct because I'm going to live longer because I work out. I eat healthy. My dad didn't go to the doctor. I do. So kind of goes back and forth. And then I'm like, I'll get to a point where I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm going to outlive him. I'm going to live past what he did.
Okay. How long would you say it takes for you to transition from that kind of automatic negative thought pattern to then being able to challenge it and get to a more rational state of mind?
I think that period is shrinking. Like I'm able to, when those thoughts come in, I'm able to be like, come on, Adam,
Okay.
let's lock it back in. You're unrational or irrational. In the beginning, when these, I would say when I was 39 and these really started popping up, along with some injuries that I've endured, it's just like went from like a week, 2 weeks to now it's like a few hours. But I feel like it happens more frequently now. Like you get like I said in the intro, like I do this movement where you do dumbbell overhead, and there was a point, I started getting some pain right here, and immediately I'm like, I'm having a heart attack. So I take my blood pressure. Blood pressure's good. I Google it, like symptoms. All right, I don't have any pain in my left arm, nothing in my neck. I'm not sweating. So then I move and I'm like, ooh. So I identify that my jumping to conclusions being that, oh my gosh, I'm having a heart attack is irrational. But what that kind of motivates me to do is even more so talking with my doctor. They're like, why don't you get a coronary artery score? Your dad had calcification. Let's look and just see so we can score it and track it. So being even more proactive. But of course, insurance doesn't cover that. So it's out of pocket.
Okay. So you just gave a good kind of step-by-step process of how it starts for you. A sensation in your body, but then you almost have like a troubleshooting list that you go through of what it could be and how to narrow it down, at least.
Yeah. And I don't know how many of you guys get like a pain somewhere, your abdomen, your chest, your pelvis, and it's automatically, you called it fortune telling, jumping to conclusions where it's like, oh my gosh, I might have cancer. Or
Catastrophizing.
Worst case scenario, it has to be that. When in reality, that the percentage that it is that worst case scenario is very low.
Right. Well, and I would consider you a fitness expert, right? You probably know the human body far better than the average person.
Yeah.
So you're able to problem solve that much quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Do you incorporate that knowledge when you're training individuals who might be having a similar sensation?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it's just weird being on the other side of it. Not like if someone came to me and they're like, I'm getting a pain here. Okay, what movements were you doing? Would be like the first kind of breakdown I would ask them to see if it's something muscular. And then does it hurt if you're picking stuff up or bracing, because then potential to be a hernia. And in every case, I'm like, you need to call your doctor, refer out. So, I see it more with my friends where it's like they'll tell me something about what's going on with their body. And then I'm not in like a professional sense. I'm more like, you need to go get checked out is always the bottom line, but it's easy to say when it's not my medical bill. And I think that's a challenge for a lot of people that, they don't have great insurance or they're uninsured to kind of address, I have this pain, but it's not worth a $900 emergency room visit,
Right, absolutely. You spoke about family history. Do you tie that in when you're talking with other people, whether it's people that you're training or friends and family?
Yeah. So, as far as with the training stuff, if someone has a history of heart disease, that they answer that on our client intake. And then we look at like what medications you're on and all that. And I just had a client, they had a history of a stroke, so they had a watchman put in, which I'm not. I did some research on it, but it's a piece put in the heart that prevents clotting, that will prevent recurrence of a stroke. So knowing like his background, he's got a pacemaker, what type of medications is he on, beta blockers. You can't be prone on the ground because it can create pooling. And what that leads to is when a client on a beta blocker stands up after being down, their blood pools, doesn't get back up here, and it can create incident where they pass out. So like I take their history into consideration, and I think about it more logically when it's outside of me. But when it's me, it's those thinking errors pop in.
All right. Getting back to vulnerability, right? When it's you, it's different. You've built a career on strength, and I'm curious how your idea of strength has evolved in time, and I feel like that vulnerability ties into it. So
yeah, there's tons of different, forms of strength. And I don't even think I could touch on them all in an hour. But physical is what everybody thinks, the strength to be able to lift heavy things, and that's, as a youngster, that's more of what I thought, and how it's kind of evolved as I think about the strength of a person in terms of resilience. What mentally, emotionally, spiritually can they handle, and they endure and overcome? And then you tie that into, like you mentioned, vulnerability is a strength when, you can share the darkest parts of you with people, where it's like, I have people tell me all the time, I really admire your courage to share your background with substance abuse and just live loudly in that way. And to me, it is the only way to live transparently. This is who I am. Take it or leave it. I don't care. There's people out there that when they hear this, if it gives them just an ounce of hope, an ounce of strength, that's what matters. That's being human. And by doing so, it creates these connections to people that, I hear stories of Jelly Roll's one, like his history. I hear that and I'm like, Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue, there's all these famous people that you can connect with without ever even knowing them, because you know what they've been through. And I think circling back to like our current topics, it's a strange feeling, strange thing. Like, I don't remember anybody really preparing me for aging. Nobody told me. I mean, maybe they did. Just saying, like, probably shouldn't do that, Adam. You're gonna feel that when you're my age. Is that the teaching? Because I got a lot of that. Like, but
so where do you think you got your ideas around aging?
I don't know. I'd have to do some digging.
Were there mentors or coaches you had throughout your life that maybe you watched age in a certain way? Or, of course, there's TV and movies.
Yeah, I think a lot of, my dad slowed down even into his early 30s. Didn't really do a whole lot of physical things. So our bodies are built to move. When we don't move it, we lose it. So I think just watching the people around me in my life, not really, a lot of them weren't super active. you know, and so is that aging where you just sit around?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think of like social, like movies, seeing people on movies, they were always doing these crazy things. Like you think of the action movies and they're jumping, swinging on ropes from building to building or whatever it may be. And I don't think anything really social contributed to it. Not that I can recall anyway. There's nothing that's saying like to me that aging is necessarily a bad thing. But I think mine, just with when you talk about the injuries, like trying to keep up with Ryan and Cade and over these last few years has really shown me you're not young anymore, Adam. And not to offend anybody out there who's older than me, aging, let's just lay it out there again. It's a blessing. If you're able to go get old, then you're one of the lucky ones.
I tend to think of it as such a gift.
Yeah, aging is a gift. But losing, it's similar to how we lose loved ones and lose anything in life. We mourn it.
Right.
And I don't know if that's the phase I'm in or I'm just mourning that part of me and thinking even back to like my 20s, maybe it's a little bit, I didn't get the 20s to do these things because I was getting high and drinking and partying and not going out and using my body and pushing its limits and in sports or in the gym as much because I was constantly like in and out of the gym. So maybe it's a little regret. I don't know. Now let's take a moment to thank our sponsors, Pine Haven Assisted Living. At Pine Haven Assisted Living, they believe in making every resident feel at home. Nestled in the peaceful countryside of Hemlock, Michigan, they offer compassionate care in a family-like environment where residents can enjoy independence with the support they need. Registered nurse-owned and operated, their team provides personalized care, home-cooked meals, and a range of activities to ensure your loved ones continue to live a fulfilling life. They also have alpacas and llamas on site to enrich the lives of their residents. Experience the warmth and comfort of Pine Haven. Call them today at 989-295-6632. That's 989-295-6632. Or you can visit them on their website at pinehavenassistedliving.com. That's pinehavenassistedliving.com for more information. Now, back to the Level Up Life.
Do you recall when that shift was for you that you decided an active lifestyle is what you wanted to lead?
Yeah, that was in rehab. Okay. So I've always been active, but I did a purpose workshop. I've talked about this before, where I was like, find out what I'm built here, what I'm here to do, which is help people, and then what am I passionate about? And it's everything I went back to. It circled around just being physically active. So naturally, like my first word as a child was ball. I mean, my grandma was throwing me batting practice when I was 2. So I've always been physically active. So it's just built into who I am and it just comes natural to me. So, I guess you could say a part of me is dying with that too, as I'm aging and losing that. So, finding a new identity, like who, without that, who am I? Right. Who am I without being the baseball player, the softball player, the, person who lifts this heavy weight? Like, who am I?
Have you thought about that?
No. So I need to do some work. just off the top of my head, this right here is something I find that I enjoy, podcasting. Just being a friend. That's take the physical out of it, and you can be a good human being to people without having to be their coach or their teammate or anything like that. I need to do a deep dive though on that.
It sounds like maybe we found a little bit of homework for you for after this episode.
Yeah. Who am I?
Yeah. And it's so important to consider that though, because we pick up these different identities throughout our lives and we can really grab hold of it. But what happens if something shifts that or changes it?
Yeah. It made me just think too about, I watch baseball. I remember watching baseball or even football. Like I never was able to play football. My parents wouldn't let me because I was too small. And they're like, what happens if you get hurt, Adam? Then you can't play baseball. What if you miss a baseball season because you're playing football? And I was like, I don't want to play football anymore. But sitting and watching professionals, maybe it was a little bit delusional. I'm like, I think I could do that. High expectations of myself. And now when I watch it, since this has progressed, it's more of like, I see things and I'm like, ooh, that makes my knees hurt, So there's definitely a shift even in how I perceive those things.
Absolutely. And I imagine that translates to your fast pitch life. And how are you making adjustments there? And are you making adjustments in the gym?
Well, I'm still trying to heal from my injury that occurred during the season. Now, kind of give you a breakdown. It was when I started playing, right when I got into recovery, picked up a ball again, absolutely loved it because it was such a big part of my life when I was younger, and then missing out on my 20s and then getting back to it, I'm like, yes. So now I would, I'd get injury here, injury there. It's natural. It happens when you play sports. Just aches, pains. Now it's like this year has been the hardest to bounce back from. And that's like an injury. I can usually I know where it is. I know kind of what's going on based on how the pain level changes as I move. And this one was like, I think I really did something wrong. And so something to do with the pubic symphysis, which is the center portion of the lower, it's where your pelvis connects on the bottom. My MRI showed there's bilateral changes to that. And it's creating discomfort if I'm squatting my normal width. If I move laterally aggressively, which when you play sports, especially baseball, there's a lot of movement laterally. When you're batting, you're striding, and I'm creating tension on that every single time. And there was a time this season where I was driving home and the ER was this way, home was that way. And I was like, because I was in so much pain, and it's like getting to the point for me where is this worth it anymore? I love playing, but is it worth, is the cost worth the benefit, right?
Right. I don't think anybody in your audience doubts that you know how to recover physically from an injury. Can you tell them more about how you recover mentally? What are the things that you do or practice?
Yeah, it's quite the journey. I think the hardest part mentally is just being down. Not just you are down mentally, but for me, it was the hardest part was relying on other people, having to have help, losing some of that independence if it's severe enough, where you're laid up, prioritizing before it was less prioritizing the recovery as much as it is just like, I'm young, I'll bounce back quickly. Now it's like, I need to figure out what led up to this and really focus on prevention. And then, I mean, it's such a different experience for everyone because I remember my knee surgery, my right knee, didn't happen playing sports, happened because I was drinking and got in a fight, which then there was even more regret with that because had I not been drinking, had I not been at that bar, had I not been around that individual, then would I have needed surgery? Probably not. So, the process for me too was like, I can't work. That's when you can't, whether you have a family, you can't provide for during that time. Self-worth, like internally what you feel during that. I didn't have a family during the time either. I was single, no kids. And I still felt like a bum because I couldn't even go to work. So a little bit of self-worth decline, but how do you bounce back from that and get through that in the process is knowing, this is temporary. This is 3 months. This is 4 months. I'll come out of this feeling better than I was. This, you can't go into it thinking how terrible it is, right? Set your mindset to more of the positive, like it's temporary. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to feel better. And relating that to like aging is just made me feel terrible. Like, because it's not temporary. Aging's permanent.
Right.
You don't get to go back.
Right. That's
So
what I was thinking. So if you had an injury or a change in your body that was more permanent, that would be pretty devastating.
yes. And there's people out there that I have a ton of respect for that have these injuries, that change their body, and they still are like super happy. I'm like, it would be hard. Much respect for those people. But I think when you're backed into a corner and you just don't have a choice, then it's like,
well, you're sort of forced to redesign things and figure out a new way of living.
similar to where I'm at with aging.
Right. Going back to the drawing board, rethinking how you're doing things.
And there's guys out there. I know a few that are in their 70s. They're still playing fast pitch. I mean, he may have been really good back in the day, the individual that I'm thinking about, and he's not like the best player on the field or even, top 15, but he's still out there having fun. So, I guess thinking about it more and more, it's like, I could still play. How competitive will I be? Like, how will my performance be in relation to what I've been? Because there's examples. There's a dude, he pitched for one of the teams we played, 84 years old. The man's pitching.
That's
And
amazing.
he's been pitching for 60 years.
Wow.
So it's like, he's doing it. Why can't I?
Well, and we had talked about this more so when you were helping Ryan recover from his injury, right? 'Cause he had always been a part of a team. It was a big part of his identity. Is being competitive the most important thing to you? Or is it being a part of a team and that sense of belonging and purpose that comes along with playing a sport?
Yeah, being in a community. I think it's more so that you can be competitive in things that aren't physical too. Because I feel like for me, at least, there's a competitive side of me that I need to feed. I need to compete in things because it's built into who I am. It brings me joy, even losing, but going out and giving my all in softball and like the camaraderie of winning. Or, you lose as a team and then you lick your wounds and you get back up. But so there's that community aspect to it, but it's also in my nature. Like that's part of who I've always been. But I could play, there's so many things you can compete at.
Right.
Chess. I'm not good at chess, but just an example that came to mind. There's a lot of non-physical ways. I'm in a football pick'em league and pretty competitive with that. I do a little bit of research and then it's mostly guesswork, but we have guys all different ages in that. So
do you compete in other ways, or do you ever find yourself competing against yourself?
Oh yeah,
Right?
I
Like
compete.
just better than yesterday.
Yeah, try and be better than I was before. In the gym is physical, but like lifting more, progressing my workouts, which can be more so now. It's not necessarily about the weight and competition as it is just, I want longevity. I want my hips to feel good when I'm 80 years old. I want to be able to, squat down to the toilet when I'm 70, 80 and get back up without using my hands.
Right.
So less of the competitive side there, but
that ties into you maintaining your independence that you said earlier was important.
yes. I think before the show we talked about kind of like preparing for those things. And I know me personally, I had to fight tooth and nail to get life insurance. And I understand history, the way they have to ask questions and score people and whatever it is.
Sure.
I understand. I have a background, substance abuse, criminal record, all these things. But at what point do those things, do you stop identifying? Because I feel like sometimes I get caught, this is who I am with recovery, and this is who I am with substance abuse, and I'm a convicted felon. I'm in recovery. That I identify with those so often, and that's what the insurance company identifies me as, but it doesn't can take into account okay, I still kind of, even people say you're a community leader, Adam, and I'm like, I don't know about that, but I'm a business owner. I am on a nonprofit board of directors. Like the insurance companies don't even consider that. It's just I went through a 2-year process calling these places about getting insurance because I have this fear, if something happened to me, what happens to my wife and my boys?
Right.
Who's going to take care of them? Who's going to be there to walk them along me not being there? And not that money would cures all, but at least having something pays for my end of life stuff and gets them through maybe a few months to process it. So now I'm like, well, so if something were to happen to me, my wife and I have discussed it, but there's no power of attorney and will and that type of stuff. And I think, I'm not that old, right? I don't need to do that stuff.
Right. That's a common trap that people fall into,
Right.
assuming that they have time and they'll get to it later.
Just like with the gym. Like, I don't need to go, I hear this from people where they're like, I got time. I'll wait to start. A year goes by and you get these little like chirps in your brain. It's like, probably should go to the gym. And I know this because I personally don't like doing cardio. And I go through the same process with cardio. So it's like, I need it. And I know there's people out there that go through the process of like, I'll just wait because life's really crazy and busy right now. I'll just wait. On a microcosm and relating it to myself, it's like I have an hour to work out today. What I want to do weights wise is going to be 50 minutes. I need 5 minutes to change into my clothes, 5 minutes. So I have an hour. I'm not doing cardio because I want to do all these weightlifting exercises when realistically it would be better for me if that was my day to decrease the weight stuff, add in the cardio, have a more balanced workout. So relating that to people at home who are pushing off, like, I'll start at the new year. Why not now? If it's not a priority now, is it going to be a priority later? So like that goes right into the ties with the same concept with the wills and the power of attorney, and that stuff costs money too. So does the gym.
Right.
So does a hospital bill for something that could have been prevented from exercising, or I don't even know what the cost is of not having power of attorney and a will, and because I'm not going to feel that, right? Could get real selfish and be like, oh, it doesn't matter to me, but my loved ones are going to struggle because of that.
Right. And exactly what you described earlier as far as finances. If you can make that a little bit easier for them as they're recovering from the loss of you, why not help make these other aspects of life easier too?
Yeah. Just have it all taken care of.
Right.
It's hard thinking about it at 40.
Well, a question that I often pose is tomorrow isn't guaranteed for anybody, right? And we get those reminders periodically throughout our lives. And none of us get to the end of our lives and think, gosh, you know what? I wish I would have worked more.
Yeah, that's true.
So what matters most to you now that you've hit 40 and you've been reflecting on things?
There's so much here. Family, the connections that I have with not just family, but all my loved ones, right? And I think about impact, right? What type of stamp am I leaving on the world? In my time here, and I think about that in real time, like even this person, maybe be behind me at the gas station that I hold. I use this example too because it's a super simple, relatable interaction that we have every day. I'm walking into the gas station. There's someone behind me. I hold the door for them. Maybe, and everybody's been in this situation where you're like, someone holds the door open for you and you're just so far away. So instead of making them wait, you do the little slower or faster walk or light jog.
Right.
And then maybe even a Midwestern, thanks, and it's just like those little moments you question, why did they hold the door open for me? Why? And that can leave positive impact on someone in their day. So that interaction on small to very large scale is what I want to leave my stamp on the world. That's a big deal to me. That's family, friends, strangers, everybody.
Really being intentional with the way that you're interacting with everybody that you encounter.
Yep.
Okay. when we're faced with our own mortality, we often start to think about what kind of legacy we want to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So is that...
That's where I'm at, yeah. Like, when I'm on my deathbed and I'm looking up, the people around me, I want them to smile and be like, you know, the world was a better place with you in it. Thank you. You know, that's the things I want not only my close loved ones to think, but the community as a whole is thank you, Adam.
Mm-hmm. Do you hear some of that already?
I do, yeah. From unlikely sources, too.
Mm-hmm.
Some people that you wouldn't expect to, like, I don't expect them to approach me, and then I get approached, and they're like, I have a family member that's struggling with substance abuse, and you sharing gives me hope. And I'm like, that's why I share. It's not just for the people struggling, but it's for the people that love people struggling.
Mm-hmm. Do you believe the impact that you've had? Because I heard you saying earlier that you're surprised when people call you a community leader.
I still don't. I mean, I don't want to jump the gun. I'm not done yet. I feel like a lot of people have approached me and said, you know, your post, whatever, or that episode of the podcast really has helped me. And in ways that I didn't even, I had this vision, like, this is how it's going to work. And it's working in different ways that I didn't even anticipate, where people are telling me, like, I used to think people were, like, addicts were just terrible humans. Listening to you and the guests you have on have really changed my mind. And I'm like, yes, it worked with one person. That's all that matters, because that person can now change someone else's mind. And that's how true change happens, is just one person at a time.
Right. I was thinking earlier when you said that podcasting is something that's important to you. I'm a little bit old school, and we know that this was a bit out of my comfort zone to do.
Oh, yeah.
But so when you say that, I think of it as you like to have important conversations.
I do. Yeah. And I think important conversations about important things that we tend to neglect in society, or they have a stigma around them. Like, we've talked suicide awareness, like bullying is a big deal. People do it in their minds before they speak the words. So that's where you stop it. You have to stop the thoughts that lead to the words that create the impact that bullying essentially takes on people. So I think bringing awareness to that in a variety of ways, that substance abuse, like, I don't know how many people have called me you were a junkie. You know how many people call me that now? I haven't heard that in like a long time. So perceptions change, right? People change. And that's one thing that I feel like this podcast is about, is highlighting how people can change. And how are we changing, right?
Right. Justice
reform, tons of different ways, like on a larger scale and smaller scale.
Well, and to have it in this format, it creates that ripple effect that you're talking about. You can have a bigger impact.
Yep. And I do think internet is forever. So, you know, these episodes we record could potentially, I don't know if they'll be obsolete in another 40 years, you know, but these could potentially have impact for years to come beyond our time here even, because the internet's forever.
Right. You get reminded of that every day.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad the internet was not around when I was growing up.
Right. So as you've turned 40, you've reflected on it, you've made some changes, redesigned some things. Do you have any advice yet for other people that might be approaching 40 and maybe feeling a bit anxious about it?
You're going to feel that when you get my age. No. I mean, grace, right? Give yourself grace. I think my regrets, like, I wish I wouldn't have jumped off of those roofs as a kid because it made my knees feel like trash now. Just little things like that. I wish I would have, even in my weight training, my early ego lifting days, I wish I would have been more strategic. I wish I would have focused more on whole health rather than just building strength. Don't do drugs. Don't overdrink. Like
Sure.
you could get into like some pretty simple things, but
The common thread there, I think, is moderation.
yeah, you know what? It's funny. My dad, ironically, who was not one of moderation, used to always tell me moderation is the key. But do as I say, not as I do type thing. Even my grandpa on my dad's side was an alcoholic, so it goes back generations and it's learned behaviors too. And I feel like going back to like what you can tell people, your question, just be kind to your body. Simply put, take care of it. Think of it as the only vehicle you'll ever own. So what gas you put in it matters. Not, and then really that's food. What we fuel our bodies with is our gasoline. And if we're putting junk in there all the time, our bodies are going to run like junk and ends up leading to other issues that it just, that's the type of thing that can shorten a lifespan too. So
I think I have one more question for you.
Okay.
What's ahead for you in the next 10 years? Have you thought about that and set some goals around it?
I have some pretty lofty goals as far as business goes. In the process of creating and launching an online business. You will be the first to hear about it when it launches. I want to be more physically fit and feel better than I do at 40 when I'm 50. And how do you do that, right? Pillars of fitness. What have I neglected in the past? I need to do more of. I need to create more of a balanced routine. Treat myself like a client instead of being a bonehead and being like,
Some more cardio in your future?
Oh, yeah. And, I explain to people, it's sometimes the exercises you don't want to do are the ones you need to do. And when I'm sure some trainers out there can concur, validate this, when I'm programming for myself, if I don't like an exercise, I don't like putting it on my workouts. So I'll avoid it. And we'll do that later, even though I know it would benefit my body. So I have a team. I should just have Jordan build me a workout, right?
There you go.
Yeah. But overall, I want to be healthier, happier, continue on the trajectory that I am, because that one thing I've learned, this is year 10 for me in recovery. I haven't hit 10 yet, but it is year 10. Nothing happens overnight, and that instant gratification that came with the substances and a lot of what we have in our lifestyles today, like, quick dopamine hit, people grab their phone and it just, what it does to our brains chemically. Keep working, the best things in life take time to really, really build and really bloom into whatever vision you have. So that's kind of like what I'm looking at into my 50s. I'd like to have a house in a warm climate.
Okay.
That's a goal.
Okay.
I'm so tired of being cold in the winter.
And it's only just starting.
I know. It's terrible. Well, Megan, thank you for coming on the show and interviewing me. I was a little review here. I was really nervous. I'm like, I don't know what this is going to be like, but that's part of like this, having a podcast, being on the show. I enjoy pushing myself out of my comfort zone, and this does that on a weekly basis. One thing I've learned from doing this is I've grown so much in the process. My speaking skills, my ability to communicate has increased, and just keep growing that vulnerability because, I mean, when you can lead from a point of vulnerability, I'm not special. There's thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people that do this on the planet, probably more. But when you can lead from that point and be strong in your stance, then it gives strength to others. And we are all the exact same. We're all aging.
Right.
We're all dying. And we all will not be here at some point. So be kind to your neighbors. That's simple.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in.